Hi, it's Dr. Rowe here, addressing a subject that does come up a lot. And if you're watching this and it's in the back of your mind, the question is buy to let worth it? Is buy to let property really worth it? Should I get into it? Is it something that's going to work for me? If I buy properties now, is it going to make a difference for me in the future? So I think the best thing to do is to look at this on a timeline. Take a few minutes to watch this through with me and hopefully it'll make sense. So imagine yourself right now and you're going to live your life, whatever age you are right now, according to the World Bank. Most of us live to around about 82 years of age. And at some point you're going to disappear off into a beautiful place. But in the meantime, you have some things to do. Like, for example, you might be working. It might be that you're married, or at some point in the future you will get married. You're likely to have kids or a kid. They're going to go through their own education. You're going to have to support them and you're going to keep working. And then eventually at some point you will retire. Typically in this country, it's around 65 years of age. So wherever you are right now, you will be earning money and possibly your salary goes up a little bit and maybe it goes up a little bit more. And when you have children, hopefully it'll go up a little bit more and you can support them through their education. But at some point you're going to hit retirement and that's when usually your level of earnings drops through the floor depending on how much security you put in place, depending on whether you've got any other additional passive income or any other support behind you. And again, you'd need to seek independent financial advice if you're going down the route of looking at pensions and pension funds and all those sorts of things. But in the meantime, for most people, whilst they're working, and if you're watching this right now and you're questioning what residual cash flow you have or what it even means, it means that each single month, every single month, you have some spare money available. Now imagine if you were to just siphon that off. Each month you put a little bit aside, 100, 200, 1,000, 2,000, unlikely for most people, but let's say you put something aside. Over time, that will slowly increase, but for most people, the amount they can put aside isn't massive, and of course, any residual that you might build up might be knocked back when you have the kids and you've got spending and life shows up. And for the average person, there's only a small amount of money they actually put aside. These are your savings. And the big question is, how much savings do you have and how much savings will you have? And is it going to be enough for you to enjoy a great retirement? So let's take those savings and let's have a think about how those savings are typically used, what people do with it. For most people, they're putting their money in the bank. That's all they're doing. They're just stashing it away. And on average, you're making about 1% a year. Now, of course, it depends what bank account you've got it in, which country you're watching this in. But for many people, that money just sits there and it doesn't really grow. It certainly doesn't exponentially grow. And inflation erodes it. For many people, because they're working hard for all these years, they don't achieve financial freedom. They work for typically 40 years. If you think about working from 25 to 65, they put their money in savings in the hope that at some point in the future, it's going to work for them. But most of the time it doesn't. They get frustrated. There's certainly no security. They might be working in a job. And so if you look at the length of a person's working career and how much they put aside, I think in general there's a lot of frustration, particularly as they're working for so many years and they just feel like they're stuck in one place. So what is the solution? Well, this is where the buy-to-let model comes in. Is buy-to-let worth it? Well, imagine that you take your savings. You might even be able to tap into some other investors' money or people that could lend you money. It might be you just save the money up and you buy yourself your first buy-to-let property, not an expensive one. You could head up into the north of England and pick up a buy-to-let property for around about 60, 70, 80,000 pounds, put your deposit money down, pay off your mortgage, pay off your operating costs, your management fees, and typically you're going to make about £300 a month on a small buy-to-let. Well, over 12 months, that's 3,600. Over 40 years, that's £144,000. Now imagine that you buy another property and then you buy another property and you start to develop a portfolio over several years. It could be as little as 2 or 3 years, and you generate 10 buy-to-let properties with the same monthly income, 300. That's 3,000 a month over 40 years. So 3,000 times 12 times 40 years is 1,400,000 £440,000. And that's a revenue that you can create through the passive income that's generated from a buy-to-let property. So a couple of questions. What if you were to actually purchase more properties? What if you bought 20 of those? What if you bought higher income generating properties? What if you could replace your income with enough properties so that you become completely financially free? So I think that answers the question. Is buy-to-let worth it? Absolutely, it's worth it. Yes, in my view, if you can do it correctly, if you get the right education, you get the right support, and you do it safely, and you get the right financial guidance from your mortgage brokers, there's absolutely no reason why you can't, as somebody that's working in a job, slowly or fast, if you want to do it, certainly for us, we did it fast, build yourself a property buy-to-let portfolio alongside whatever you're doing, so at least it gives you choices. In this case, somebody's bought 10, and these are small buy-to-lets. There's nothing to stop you buying higher income generating properties that produce 500, 600, 1,000 a month, and that means you need less of them. But just think about working for 40 years or having a buy-to-let portfolio work for you for 40 years. So I think it's definitely worth it.